Hello and welcome back to Far Beyond the World. We will be continuing where we left off, which is after the feast and that awkward moment with Ranok. I'm stirred from my blissful nothingness, forced back into the waking world. A world which I tried to escape so desperately over the course of this night. I can still feel his lips linger on mine. I want to sleep, to stay here unconscious and unaware. But above all, I don't want to feel the confusion and hurt left by that kiss. Yet something persists, reaching out to me through the veil. I hear a faint call. It almost sounds like a hummed song woven together by many voices. Wake up. I want to ignore it, but its melody promises me comfort I have been craving all those torturous hours, and I finally give in. I open my eyes, looking drowsily around. It's still the dead of night, yet the bedroom is bathed in a white glow. I could almost mistake it for day had it not been for the ambient blue tint. There's an odd tightness in my chest which forces me to fully awake. The air is humid, almost choking. It's hard to breathe and my gasps rattle me further. I have to step outside, even if it's just for a moment. I simply need to catch some fresh air before another panic attack sets in. I hop off the bed and approach the door slowly, mulling carefully over my decision to leave while I do so. I don't want to wake up the wolf, but I also cannot stay inside. My skin feels on fire, as if the air itself burned me. I grab onto the handle, trying to turn it without making much noise. The bolt clangs softly as I unlock the doors. I try to open them as quietly as possible, but the hinges screech in prolonged agony. There is no other way around it, so I pull the doors ajar as fast as I can. Once I peek into the main room, I can see Ranok sleeping on the floor next to the now cold hearth. I feel bad for occupying his bed, but it was his choice to sleep here. Normally, I would rather trade places with my host, but I'm still not over how we left things. Although I can understand his inner conflict, it wasn't fair of him to just leave me like that. I see him move, and for a moment I think the wailing hinges have woken the male, but he only assumes a more comfortable position on his pile of blankets. When I realize he's still asleep, I sigh in relief and begin moving towards the outer doors. However, as I pass next to him, the floor creaks and I stop dead in my tracks. I throw a cautious gaze to the wolf only to notice his troubled expression. He strains his eyes shut, body slightly twitching, while his tail gives frustrated flickers. Although he's quiet, his labored breaths leave no doubt that he's having a bad dream. Serves him right. For a split second, I throw my head towards the doors, thinking it's a fair punishment for what he's done. But then I realize, I'm not that petty. This isn't me. Although some parts of my mind already succumb to anger, I manage to wrestle back control. I look to him with pity, quietly kneeling next to his form. I place my hand onto his forehead, gently petting him. I know he didn't mean to hurt me. I've learned by now that the wolf is himself aching, and every of his actions is meant to spare me as much pain as possible. I'm not going to add to our troubles through some petty resentment. As I ruffle his fur, his breathing slows down, and his expression softens, whatever tormented him banished by my touch. Once he's settled into a more comfortable dream, I cannot help but smile. Let at least one of us have a peaceful night. I take a deep breath and stand up, continuing towards the exit. I open the door slightly, peeking through the crack to see if anyone is outside. There's no one around. I cannot even see the sentries where Ranok said they usually camp. After such a party, I bet everyone is simply fast asleep, or perhaps the location of the guards rotates on a night-to-night basis. Whatever the reason, it's quite fortuitous. Relieved, I step outside. The night is warm, with spring winds bringing much more of that welcome southern air. I walk slowly towards the chair, content on simply staying out on the porch. I sit myself comfortably, almost like a lord on the throne overlooking his serene domain. Despite the cold wood tickling my naked skin, I don't complain. It's a nice sensation compared to the scalding heat which interrupted my peaceful sleep. A stray bead of sweat trails my face, a reminder of that odd feeling. I wipe it off, admiring the scenery. I cannot get over how bright everything is, with the waning moon glowing in its full glory. I don't know why, but I feel like taking a short walk, invited by the white light. With a scoff, I get up and approach the steps, jumping over the uneven stone. Fool me once. I mutter in amusement, stepping onto the path and trying to decide where to go. The village doesn't seem like a good idea. Even if I gain some good faith, snooping between the houses in the dead of night would quickly undo all of that, which only leaves the woods. Normally, I wouldn't even entertain such an idea, yet an uncharacteristic sense of courage fills me tonight, aided by the luminescent glow showering everything around me. Besides, Ranok seemed adamant that the area around the village is quite safe. At first, I step off the path cautiously. However, the deeper I get into the woods, the more at ease I feel. For some reason, the forest seems almost welcoming, as if it awaited my arrival. I cannot help but admire how dense and lush it is. Surely I've seen woods in my life, but they never seem this natural, almost undisturbed by the hand of men. But I'm quickly reminded that this is no ordinary forest. I touch the trees as I pass them, noticing some of them having names already claimed. It's an odd feeling, knowing that each of them represents a person. Drake, Talon, Cora, each wolf living their life alongside a name tree. It's almost surreal to think about, and my imagination runs wild. I try to picture a ceremony where a wolf claims this tree. How does that even work? I like to think that the entire village is present, as they observe the youth inscribe their name into the bark under the careful eye of the shaman. That must feel quite something. A milestone for sure. I trail Cora's name with my finger. The etching, although simple, has an undeniable feminine touch to it. Her tree is a young, slender birch, and unlike other carvings, this one is still bleeding sap. I rub it between my fingers. I guess her name has been claimed quite recently. I decide to continue my walk, slowly meandering between different trees and shrubs when I suddenly come to a stop. My eyes open wide at an unexpected, yet in retrospect an inevitable sight. I cover my lips, overwhelmed by a surprising torrent of sadness washing over me. A tree in front of me, huge and sprawling, has its name crossed out. Beneath a moonstone tied around the trunk signifies that a wolf's journey has come to an end, and he has been laid to rest here. It must have stood here for decades, if not centuries, looking down upon those who would pass by. And now, it looks down upon me. I approach slowly, surprised by my own reverence, stopping mere inches before an ancient, rusty sword half grown into the trunk. I can only assume it means I'm face to face with the once mighty warrior. I struggle to decipher the crossed out etchings. Rithern? I mutter with slight doubt. However, speaking the name out loud almost feels as if I'm breathing life back into the fallen wolf. I look up as a sudden gust of wind rustles the leaves above me and a slight chill creeps down my back. I gaze around in panic, feeling as if I'm no longer alone. But the woods are empty, with only the dead keeping vigil over them. I shake my head at how easily I get spooked. Rest well, my friend. I'm sure you've earned it. I exhale, patting the mighty trunk as I walk off. The deeper I venture, the more trees I see with moonstones glistening in the light, waning, waxing, quarter moons, entire generations of wolves resting peacefully over the watchful gaze of their goddess. Although I feel out of place, the welcoming sensation persists, bidding me to follow. I feel ashamed, remorseful even about the comments I've made about these trees. Seeing them now, an entire forest standing as testament to the tribe's history and lineage, I understand the significance. It's a living cemetery. I can only imagine how upset I would have been if someone desecrated a resting place of my dearly departed. I wish I could take it all back. But the moonlight doesn't waver, almost as if absolving me of my foolish transgressions. I simply take a deep breath and decide to clear my mind. I've been doing a lot of overthinking lately, and how did that turn out? I follow my 2 feet, allowing them to take me where they will as I just enjoy the night. I'm not sure how long I've been walking through these woods. I don't even know what direction I took, feeling I might have unwittingly turned around quite a few times. I begin to worry that I am lost, not really keen on the prospect of Ranok having to search for me. This could easily be misinterpreted as an attention-seeking stunt. The last thing I need is the wolf thinking I'm hysterical, which I bet he's quite close to doing on account of my near constant freakouts. Ugh, get a grip. I exhale, rubbing my temple in annoyance. I push forward, bit by the moonlight piercing through some of the thick overgrowth. I struggle to part the bushes when suddenly I arrive at a clearing. It's akin to a meadow I spent on an afternoon with Ranok, but this is a different place, with tall grass waving at the wind like a sea of green. The landscape is dotted with white menhirs, similar to the erected in the center of the village. In the far corner, I can see a structure resembling a henge, a trio of double, tall megaliths capped with horizontal dolmens. The stones are white and shine in the moonlight like polished marble. I can see a shadow of a person kneeling in the middle of the stone circle. I consider retreating, but the moonlight quickly reveals a familiar figure. It's Verissa. She's kneeling in front of the shallow pool, arms outstretched to the sky, her pristine coat almost glistening in the white glow. Mother Moon, I need your guidance. Her voice carries softly on the wind. It's uncharacteristically faint and wavering, almost completely devoid of her usual composed demeanor. She's clearly distressed. I decide to approach her, moving quietly forward as not to interrupt her prayers. Please, speak to me, she asks again, her words pitiful and desperate. I watch her slumped figure as she stays there silent and expectant, as if truly awaiting a response. Eventually, her muzzle rises upwards, and she gazes at the white sphere again. I'm sitting here, alone in the darkness. She continues to beg. I can swear she's sobbing. I'm blind without your guidance. My heart begins to sink at her sorrowful state. I don't know what to do. Should I even be here? Clearly, it's an intimate moment between her and her goddess. I shouldn't intrude. I proceed to back out slowly, eventually facing the woods once more, when another quiet sob reaches me. You have been silent ever since that human arrived. She sighs, again shrinking in defeat, and I stop in my tracks. I turn around, feeling bad, called out like that, but I also cannot blame her. I have uprooted her life, even if I did so unintentionally. I caused this. Whatever crisis of faith she's going through, it's my fault. I better leave. Have you forsaken me? Did I make a mistake? Her rattled breaths make my throat catch. Please, speak to me. She pours her heart out into that last plead. But Aluna isn't going to answer, is she? Verissa's sorrowful tone breaks my heart, and I cannot bear it any longer. I cannot leave her in such a state. That would be cruel. I take a deep breath and step forward, wanting to reveal my presence, but the female's ears perk up even before I speak her name. Verissa? Once she hears my voice, she quickly tries to compose herself. Emilio! She exclaims while hastily rubbing her eyes, clearly wanting to hide her tears. You shouldn't be out here. You are past the village boundaries. It's fine. I reply, approaching the she-wolf slowly and casually looking around to give her time to adjust herself. Everyone's fast asleep, and I doubt you're going to hurt me. I mumble, taking in the scenery. The shrine looks absolutely enchanting. Once I hear that she's collected, I take a seat beside her, in the grass. I cannot avoid looking at the stone pool in front of us. Is this... Yes, she whispers with a nod. I feel eerily gazing at the birthplace of Vol and Ranok. Goosebumps appear on my skin as I remember how the dark male was stillborn, unmoving until his moon brother entered the world besides him. And it all happened right here. If places could tell stories. I sigh, looking at Verissa's troubled expression with worry. Is everything all right? She smiles, almost forcing a chuckle into her words. I was just communing with Aluna. Did she respond? Verissa looks up, releasing a defeated sigh. She's silent as the moon. For the first time, I can see her without the confident facade. Unlike Ranok, she chooses to be honest with me for once. I decide to return the sentiment. I know you think it's my fault. What? No, the female interrupts almost automatically. I've heard you. No point in beating around the bush. She looks at me with worry, then regards the radiant face of her deity. The moon seems much larger than what I think it should be. It's not like that. I don't regret saving your life. I just worry I made the mistake somewhere along the way. What could you have done differently? I don't know. You saved my life, and you did so without hurting anyone in the process. Surely that's not a mistake. And if you both honestly believe that this whole mess was fated... I pause, trying to contain a chuckle. Then you're doing the best you can with what little guidance you received. She looks at me, almost taken aback by my words, and scoffs in amusement. Eloquent. Perhaps Ranok is right, and you are a lost noble. Verissa laughs. But your words do ring true. Mother Moon is fickle. She changes her face every night, never in the same mood. It's hard to read her sometimes. The female says in a calm voice, almost as if convincing herself as much as me. This world is so alien, yet I feel somewhat responsible for sowing fear and doubt in the hearts of those amazing creatures. Even though they're wolves, they're as remarkable and enthralling as any human I could imagine. Or even more so. I can't help but feel bad. I'm sorry for all of this. I never wanted to cause... No. She interrupts me again mid-sentence. It's me who's sorry. My ancestors warned me that my path would be hard. I need to remain strong. I believe we're on the right track. She looks back at me with a confident smile, despite wet streaks betraying where tears flowed just a few moments ago. And you've proved that at the feast. I don't know about that. I think I might have underestimated Tano. She chuckles. Tano is many things, but he's not malicious, at least not for the sake of it. I thought you didn't like him. I don't, but that's because he has a habit of poking his nose into other wolves' business. The female rolls her eyes in annoyance. He's a creature driven by curiosity, you see, so sparking his interest might have been your saving grace. Still, I would keep my distance if I were you. One never really knows where his sniffing will lead him. I fully intend to. Might be easier said than done, especially now that it's clear he is quite taken by you. So is everyone, for that matter. For a tribe screaming bloody murder every time an otherkin steps into our borders, that's quite a feat. I'm surprised by her words. Indeed, the tribe wolves seem wary if not hostile at first, but as time passed, their attitude towards me improved. I've also noticed Ranok is getting quite attached to you. He thinks I'm his path, that's all. I shrug, not trying to delude myself that there's something there, when there clearly isn't. If you say so. She smiles, almost as if she knows more than I do. Then again, she did grow up with Ranok, while I know him but a few days. Just keep in mind that his moonstone is a full moon for a reason. And that means that he's very much like Aluna herself. Fickle? I force a chuckle, to which she only smiles. At first glance, yes, but behind that ever-changing mask is someone constant who will always be there for you. You just have to give them time, just like the moon. Eventually, Aluna always shows up to brighten the sky. Isn't she giving you a silent treatment, though? Just like Ranok's giving me one. Why are you here? She muses with her much more familiar melodic tone, and I'm almost thrown off by the question. Because Ranok found me. No. She laughs at me. Why are you here now? I woke up. It was a challenging night. I just needed some air. I mumble, trying to actually figure out how I ended up here. Would it be safe to assume you were distressed? How did you know? I can still smell it on you. She closes her eyes and smiles, twitching her nose in short, discreet sniffs. You needed help. And so did I. Turns out Mother Moon was not being silent at all. She was just being busy. She regards me with her knowing gaze. I asked Aluna for comfort, to bolster my resolve, and here you are. And judging by your rapidly relaxing heart rate and scent, you needed someone to talk to. You mean she brought me here? I exhale in amusement. It's a comforting thought at least, if not a bit of a stretch. I look up at the moon and just take in the light. Even though it's no longer full, the shine it gives envelops nearly everything. All of creation this side of the world is bathed in the white glow. The moon's so unbelievably pretty tonight. Yes, she is. The female regards the Argent sphere with amusement, almost as if she's only just noticing it. She's smiling at us. For whatever reason, that assessment reassures me. She invites me to sit closer to her, extending her paw behind my back. I scooch over and rest my head on her shoulder as she embraces me. Do you know the story of your birth? She nods quietly. But it's a story for another time. Okay. I try not to sound disappointed. Some things come to us just at the right time, Emilio. Even if we think we want more, sometimes that's not what we need. What do you mean? I ask in confusion, as this bit of wisdom came out of nowhere. However, somehow it feels very relevant to Ranok. Wait, could it be possible she smells him on me? I wince slightly, wondering if I should perhaps pull away, but then again, if she smells Ranok on me, then it's already too late. Best piece of advice I can give you right now is just to wait. What for? Anything. She shrugs. Just allow for things to come into your life as they may, at their very own pace. Life has a tendency of sorting itself out. Yeah, she's right. Haste is the devil's work, and all good things come in time. I should stop rushing and overcomplicating everything, and just enjoy myself. Just like now. We both look at the moon in silence. We don't exchange words after that point. No words are needed. We just take in the glorious radiance of the Mother Moon. I smile as if feeling her blessing touch us both. I can see Verissa being at peace as well, which was more than I could have hoped for. I would not want the female to suffer because of me, nor for her faith to waver. Knowing that somehow I managed to keep her resolve was the greatest reward in and of itself. I thank Aluna for this gift, whether she is real or not. She definitely turned a bad day around for the both of us. I began slowly dozing off on her shoulder, causing the female to exhale to stir me up. Well, that was refreshing. Shall we head back? She gets up and extends her paw towards me. I just nod, taking hold of her, standing to my feet. She walks off, but before I follow, I throw a last curious glance towards the pool. To think this is the source of all of their moonstones. I'm almost tempted to come closer and take a peek, as if hoping I would find one of my very own. Emilio. Something shimmers in the depths of the pool, the waters muddle, and the image hidden just beneath the surface. My feet tremble slightly, as if I feel a sudden pull towards the well. My hand is inches from reaching out to retrieve what I believe is a newly formed moonstone. I look back to Verissa, wondering if she also sees it, but the female has already put some distance between us. I gaze back to the waters. Something's definitely in there. I want to approach, but I feel the moon's glow intensify, almost as if I stood in the glare of a spotlight. The familiar melody fills my ears as dozens of whispers collide into one simple warning. Don't. The glare retracts, and I blink my eyes to adjust my vision. Again, I look to Verissa, but she pays me no mind. Whatever's happening is happening only to me. I'm torn, struggling to fight the urge to simply confront the waters. What if there's an answer lying at the bottom of the pool? My mind begins to wander and I find my feet shift slightly towards the water's edge. I would think that the whispers are the thing that's calling you towards the pool, and the moon is the thing that's telling you not to. So, since the moon was the one that brought you to Verissa to, try to turn around the night, then I think I'm gonna listen to it. But I remain still, using all of my willpower to defy this pervasive thought. Do not fight it. Emilio, what's the matter? I snap out of my stupor, gazing now into the wavy reflection of the moon. The waters are dull and empty, whatever tugged at my inner desire gone, as if it was never there. Another mirage meant to mess with me. It's nothing. I was just admiring the scenery. I mutter, trying to recollect my thoughts. I feel utterly confused. Seems I cannot get away from the voices. I'm under so much pressure that my anxiety begins to spill into the waking world. For a moment, I think of talking to Verissa, but considering our earlier conversation, I don't want to come across as if I'm mocking her beliefs. She seems to be already struggling on my account. This is an unnecessary distraction. I guess the whole Aluna talk just got into my head. The female notices my tardiness and approaches me to slip her paw around my elbow and lock arms. Come, it is getting late, and if Ranok finds you missing, he will be freaking out. Yeah, right. She tugs at me slightly, and I oblige. I nearly forgot about Ranok and our mishap. I do dearly hope that he's still fast asleep. As we return to the village, Verissa guides me back towards the cottage. Apparently, I took quite a detour through the woods. It's a wonder how I stumbled upon the moon shrine. Once the house is in our sight, the female bids me a good night. Her home is in the other direction. I wave her goodbye and make my way towards the cabin, an uneasy smile stretching across my face. We both need reassurance, and both have received it. I must allow Ranok to process things on his own pace. Pressing him isn't fair, and it will only push us further apart. So far, he's being good at opening up when the time was right. Besides, I have other things to worry about. The voices become quite conspicuous now. I hear them. It's not just in my head. Whether I'm going mad or simply spiraling is yet to be seen. But for the time being, I have my plate full. I nearly yelp out as I hear a strange voice mumble in the bushes. The tigers must be growing really desperate if they think a human will do the trick. Or perhaps they thought it clever. Hard to decide which. You might have them fooled, but I know you speak Wolven. I still hold my chest, steadying my rattled heart, while the bunny continues his random monologue, as if he wasn't even speaking to me. That's right, I'm keeping a watchful eye on you, you little. Who does he think he is? That makes two of us. I bark at him in annoyance, pretty fed up with impertinence of this guy. What are you doing lurking around outside our windows, you fucking creep? What did you say? He looks at me wide-eyed, stumbling back into the bushes. I'm done playing games. Cut the crap, I don't have time for this. You think you can threaten me? Ranok, Vol, and Varissa are all in on this. You rat me out, and there won't even be a piece of you left once they're done with you. The rabbit stands there, shaking, and I can't help but smile that my ultimatum works so well. How are you doing this? Doing what? Speaking old Silovan, by the spirits. It's like you were born in my burrow. What? This again? No, I'm not engaging at this point. Look, I don't know what game you're playing, but I'm not in a mood for it. If you won't leave me alone, I will tell the others that you're onto me and that you speak Wolven. That's punishable by death. This makes my secret your secret. So better keep your mouth shut so that we can both stay alive. I sneer in anger. I can see Trist is really shaken, and I start to think that he really didn't expect me to understand him. I'm not speaking Wolven. None of the words are. What? No, this is getting too much for me. I'm so confused that the sudden anger that took a hold of me simply dissipates. My breath stabilizes and I just take a deep exhale. Whatever. I look to him with a more empathic gaze. I didn't mean for you to lose your job, and I don't mean for you to lose your life either. So just stay away from me and stop giving me those funny looks. I rush past him, bumping his shoulder and causing the bunny to stumble out of my way. I simply run towards the house. My head is spinning with a torrent of conflicting thoughts and emotions. What sort of crazy ride am I on? When I enter the cabin, I close the door behind me and stomp against them. What the fuck is going on? First Wolven and now old Silovan? The chief was supposedly speaking to me in some human dialects as well. But they all blend into one. I cannot distinguish one language from another. They're as native to me as my own thoughts. Just like the whispers. I quickly look around the room for some water, as my throat clenches and I'm desperately thirsty. I pour myself a cup and swallow greedily, but with each gulp I feel the void inside my stomach grow deeper, while my heart rate spins completely out of control. I think I might be losing my damn mind. I gaze at the room in panic as it begins to contort again, the shadows extending and reaching out to me. No, no! My eyes well up and my heart is racing at 100 miles an hour. Please, no! I drop the cup, but before I can hear it clang on the floor, everything turns black. No, not this again! I beg, tears cascading down my cheeks like heavy waterfalls. It's close now. So close. Suddenly, I feel a large hand grab onto my arm, pulling me deeper into the void. No, let go of me! I shout out with all the air in my lungs. I force myself free, pulling back and stumbling to the floor. Emilio, what are you doing? I can see Ranok standing above me with a shocked expression, his paw still extended where it held me. What's going on? I look around in utter horror, huddling to the wall behind me. Everything is back to normal, as if nothing ever happened. What? You were just standing there, mumbling. No, oh god, no. I'm starting to lose my sense of what is real and what isn't. The wolf squats beside me, looking rather worried. No doubt he senses my erratic heart rate. So much for not coming across as hysterical. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to wake you up, I mutter, struggling to get up. He aids me with his paw, pulling me back to my feet. I must have been sleepwalking. I'll go back to bed. I try to rush towards the bedroom doors, but Ranok grabs my hand gently, stopping me in my tracks. I can sense you're in distress. His voice is soft and full of concern. Only now I notice I'm slightly shivering and my heart must seem to him as if it tried to burst out of my chest. It almost feels as if I have a pocket of air stuck inside. Look, I'm sorry about the kiss. It's always about him. It's not the goddamn kiss! I snap, yanking my hand free. Emilio! I seriously can't deal with his sexuality issues right now. I run towards the bedroom doors and slam them shut behind me. Since there is no lock, I just sit down with my back against them, preventing the wolf from entering without having to force his way in. I try to calm myself, to rein in my rattled breath, but again, I'm slowly spiraling. I hear him knock on the door and I sigh in annoyance, struggling to hold back the tears. Go away. I plead sorrowfully. I really don't know what to do. Between the torrent of thoughts in my head and the mixed feelings he invokes in me, I feel like I'm stuck between a rock and a hard place. Emilio, what really happened? He asks through the door, and his saddened voice almost makes me want to let him in. If it's not the kiss, why are you so freaked out? I need to know. Your fucking rabbit threatened me. I gasp, finally allowing tears to fall freely. Or I threatened him. I'm not sure which anymore. I mutter, defeated. I did not handle Trist well. What? When? Although I really want to tell him about my near constant freakouts and my now apparent weird multilingual abilities, I don't think it's the right time for either. We just opened one can of worms with this stupid kiss. No point opening another without putting the lid back on the first. It doesn't matter. It would seem I have to bite the bullet and take the embarrassment of coming across as too emotional, rather than put my mental psychosis on full display. Was it at the feast? I decide to evade with a half-truth. Yeah, he kept giving me funny looks. Well, if that's the case, I will set him straight. He has no business harassing you. No, don't. I don't want to cause... I cut off, realizing how just hours before we both accused one another of making a spectacle of ourselves. A scene? He guesses through a forced chuckle. Bit too late for that, don't you think? Yeah. We stay like that in silence, while I feel his heavy form slump down and press against the door. He sat himself on the other side, mirroring me. I never wanted to make you angry, but I understand why you don't want me there. First, I take it too far with the teasing, and then... He holds his breath, unable to even verbalize it. You must be so disgusted. I'm flattered, not disgusted. Huh? He exhales, clearly surprised by my cadence. I mean, having a wolf like you kiss someone like me? That's any guy's dream, given they're... defective? He says in a worried tone, and I sigh in defeat. You're not defective, Ranok. Not to me. Maybe, but everyone else... Fuck everyone else! I snap, annoyed he allows himself to be boxed up like this without even putting up even a shred of a fight. What matters is what you think and feel. Do you see me as defective, as someone who needs to be fixed? No. The wolf stutters in panic. You're perfect the way you are. And now I'm the one taken aback by his frankness, a small blush creeping onto my face over the compliment. But at least now I can turn his own heartfelt words against his conditioning. Then for the love of God, stop using that word, I demand sternly. It's even more painful when you use it to describe yourself. You have so much going on. The last thing you need is self-loathing. Fall silent, clearly thinking over what I said. I give him a moment, but eventually he sighs deeply. It's not that simple. Why? Because I'm really not like that, Emilio. I do like females. I want to suggest that he might be bi, but he continues, completely throwing off my train of thought. I'm just an idiot. I know I can be playful, but I took it a bit too far. I just want to distract you because you were so distressed, and I much rather had you flustered than in tears. So you just kiss me? I almost can't believe his words. Like, how is that even a solution? Oh, my friend is upset. I know he might be into me. Let me just give him a pity kiss. I mock his logic. It wasn't like that. He subdues a growl. It's... The wolf sighs, struggling with wording his own thoughts. We both had too much to drink. So you never meant it. No, that's not what I'm saying. Again, he protests fervently. What are you saying then? It was a spur of the moment. I had no idea what I was doing until I actually did it. He gives his rash explanation, and I can clearly feel his rattled breath rocking the door back and forth. He's really distressed, and I decide to allow him some time to recollect his thoughts, listening to his strained huffs. I don't know. The wolf sighs in defeat. I'm so confused. You're a guy, and although I had feelings for males before, I thought it was just a one-off. But even worse, you're a human. That's got to be messed up, no? As much as a revelation of his earlier infatuation surprises me, his crude assessment of our situation brings me back to earth. He isn't wrong. Even I question my attraction to him at times. This is a whole new level of what the hell am I even thinking kind of a thing. Yeah, I get how you feel. I nod, half-heartedly. Each time I'm reminded that you're a wolf, a part of me is screaming, what the fuck? I chuckle nervously. Right? He responds in a similar, feigned amusement. I think it's your speech that does it to me. There's no language barrier and you sound like one of our own. Worse yet, talking to you is easier than any other wolf I've ever met because you're an outsider. I don't have to worry about our customs or preconceptions. You just read me like an open book without any judgment. I feel like I can be myself around you, and that you enjoy me for who I actually am. Not for who you want me to be. I've never felt like that before. I listen carefully as he tries to explain his feelings. Seems I was right. He was forced into a role his entire life with the watchful eyes dead set on him. One wrong move, one misplaced step, and you're booed off the stage. A failure. Poor wolf. I wipe away a tear, first that I have shed in this world for someone else. You're also the first decision I've made that I can stand by as truly my own. The fact that I also saved your life also makes me feel responsible and incredibly possessive. Sometimes it feels as if I'm imprinted on you in those woods. He exhales in resignation and I raise my brow. Imprinted? It doesn't matter. He mutters dismissively. I just know that to us wolves, being territorial about certain individuals is very much natural. And combined with everything else, it can easily seem like you are in love. It's messing with my head. Yeah, I could see why. I sigh in understanding. I can definitely relate to his confusion and reservations. My memory loss and loneliness is triggering a lot of my need for intimacy with you. Not to mention you're the first and only friendly person I can remember. It makes me a little bit clingy. And then being forced into this proximity, with things getting as intense as they did at times. No wonder our emotions are all over the place. I can hear his amused scoff through the door. See, even now you understand me. It's hard to keep level-headed around you. Right back at you. I laugh softly. But even if it is kind of rushed and weird, I really do enjoy our connection. The thing is, I'm enjoying it as well. Maybe too much than it is appropriate. He says with a serious tone, and I want to reassure him. I don't mind being close. I cannot lose you, Emilio. He cuts me off, his voice cracking a little as he strains against his own emotions. He almost sounds desperate. Especially not now, when you're the closest thing to a true friend that I have. What about Vol and Verissa? Don't get me wrong, I love them, I do. But I still have to put up a mask in front of them. I cannot show any weakness or blemishes. You're the only one who allows me to be the real me, and I'm not only talking about my He cuts off and I smile, because he respected my earlier request. About my quirk. Attaboy. Why would you think you could lose me? Because I already did lose someone once, by allowing things to get too fast. We just met, but I can see something special in you, a friendship worth 1,000 short-lived flings. Yeah, I understand what you mean. And just like that, he has proven once again that he's been more than considerate than I ever have. I don't deserve this guy. Silence overtakes us, as neither know what to say. I suspect he's simply trying to plaster over another crack he allowed to form in his facade. But I remind myself that I need to give him time. He's made good on coming forward at just the right moments. So I wait, 10, maybe 20 minutes, just admiring the white moon slowly setting over the now darkening sky. The night is at its thickest, which means that dawn is not too far. I begin slowly dozing off, just listening to his rhythmic breathing on the other side of the doors. But then a question stirs in me, like a cold water slush into my face. I might be making a fool out of myself, but I have to know. My skin even burns, as would be natural in such a scenario. Do you have feelings for me? I hold my breath, almost certain my heart skipped a beat. I wasn't ready for this, and so wasn't my answer. I don't know. I might. I shrug, looking at the window in defeat. It's clear he did not expect my honesty. Really? I sigh. Everything's so muddled, Ranok. My thoughts race at such speeds that my mind cannot keep up. I idly poke my forehead. It's like a whirlpool of emotions up here. But I do feel something towards you. I can hear he struggles to contain a smile, his voice betraying a hopeful gleam. Something? I want to say love, but I'm not that naive. We barely just met, and as we both just agreed, our situation doesn't exactly make things clear. Yeah. But I won't lie to you. There's a certain undeniable attraction there. He burrows deep in thought, causing my anxiety to spike. I might have been too honest. Don't worry, it's not another rejection. He mutters, again picking up on my heartbeat even from the adjacent room and drawing a reluctant laugh from me. Damn, his beastly abilities is quite enticing at times, although presently my train of thought is a tad inappropriate. I also feel conflicting emotions regarding you. At first I thought I was just excited about my destiny finally unfolding. But the more I got to know you, the more I enjoyed your company. I started brushing it off to my loneliness. But now, I don't know what's going on. He sighs heavily, taking another moment to collect his thoughts. This is completely new to me. I never connected with anyone like that, not even with wolves I pursued or grew up with. You are really dear to me. He insists, and the tone of his voice leaves no doubt about it. That's why I cannot risk fucking it up by misreading the situation. I laugh, completely embarrassed by how stupid I am. I keep measuring him with my own yardstick. What's so funny? I thought you were just acting immature by bolting after the kiss. And yet again, you prove that between the two of us, I'm the one who's still a kid. That's what I love about you. He chuckles back, but I'm just stunned that he used that word. I inquire hesitantly. Cherish your childish naivete. You were clearly lucky enough to retain it. My people weeded out very early on. Well, you still put up a fight. He scoffs in amusement. I try. I take a deep breath and slowly get up to my feet. I place my hand on the handle and turn it, unlocking the doors with a soft clang. As I pull the wing away, I see the wolf's back, as he's seated on the floor in front of me. He reluctantly turns his head, meeting my gaze with a wary expression. I extend my hand towards him, trying to give him the courage to get up. At first he's reluctant, but then he smiles awkwardly. He grabs my hand but stands on his own accord, just holding onto me for sentiment's sake. Once he's up, he looks at me with concern. Hug? I open my arms awkwardly, inviting him to embrace me. Immediately, I hear his tail swish as he nods with a barely contained smile. And just like that, the large furry form envelops me, and I'm surrounded by the scent of the forest. It feels as if I'm rolling in the meadow again, his fur brushing against me akin to the grass. He holds me tight, secure in his embrace for a good few moments, but I don't mind. I simply surrender completely, melting into his form. I needed this, to feel safe and wanted. I just take in his warmth, really relieved that despite everything that happened tonight, our friendship wasn't damaged. In fact, despite our combined mishaps, I really much believe it was strengthened. He continues to keep me close, as if desperate to feel every inch of me pressed against his body, as if fearing I might disappear into the morning mist. My heart stumbles, and I feel butterflies fill my stomach. He senses the slightest shift and squeezes harder. He grabs my face gently with his paws, warm beams pressing against my cheeks, and slightly pushes away. His nose ventures close to my forehead, trailing my skin with his wet, cold tip. I stifle a giggle as it tickles, but then my eyes open wide as he reaches my cheek. There he plants a tender kiss, his tongue barely grazing the surface of my skin. We lock our gazes and he immediately pulls me back into his chest. Again, we stay like this for a while, until eventually he lets go of me. I think we both need some time to figure things out on our own pace and on our own terms. He mutters with a saddened voice, yet his expression remains quite determined. What do you mean? I respond in slight confusion. I have no doubt that our feelings will clarify if we give ourselves some space. There was something I was meant to do, a scouting mission that would most likely take me away for a few days. What? I feel my heart sink. I did not expect this turn after such a tender moment. I put it off on your account, and Father decided to simply delegate this task to Tano at a later date. Aside from me not trusting his tracking abilities, this is urgent. As usual, Ranok picks up on my distress and takes firm hold of my shoulders. 2 of our pack are missing, and I was willing to brush them off for the sake of our little retreat from reality. But it wasn't fair. Not towards you and not towards them, and especially not towards the tribe. He looks into my eyes, and although it's hard to argue with his reasoning, its maturity is commendable even, I cannot help but feel betrayed. I know I said I wouldn't leave you, but if I am to be chief one day, a good chief, I need to act like one. He insists, his ears falling flat, and I can see that he wants this to be our joint decision. How petty would I have to be to inject myself into his line of duty? And despite how easily lulled I am into this weird need for intimacy, I agree that some time apart could help us get clarity. Half the time, I don't know what to feel anymore. No, I understand. Again, if this is that important... I mutter, but my voice must seem terribly unconvincing as the wolf sighs and pulls me closer. If I am to protect you, I cannot give them any reason to undermine me. But most importantly, I cannot allow myself to unwittingly hurt you in the process as well. I think a few days apart will allow our emotions to cool down and to settle. Then, we will have a clearer view of what's actually going on between us. He smiles, planting another, this time more encouraging lick on my cheek, pulling on my skin teasily in the process. I chuckle it off, pushing his muzzle away. I'm not going to lie. Being left alone does scare me a bit, but I also know that you're right. I nod. You won't be alone. I ask Vol and Verissa to take care of you. That actually sounds fun. I mutter half-heartedly. You're a terrible liar. But I really am keen on spending more time with them. It's just going to be strange to find myself without you. Indeed, he's the only constant I've known since I woke up. More the reason to rip off the bandage, huh? Yeah. I chuckle, this time with genuine amusement. I cannot always expect him to be at my side, and with a week hardly gone by, it's about time that I started acting more independently. Good. He sighs in relief, finally content my mood has stabilized. I will go and see my father at dawn. I will also get Vol and Verissa here. We can have breakfast together. He proposes through a smile. You'd like that, wouldn't you? I nod with enthusiasm. A joint meal sounds actually fun. Also, it's about time we get you dressed. I didn't forget my promise. He winks, walking towards the bed, and I smile. Consider it to a fault. I guess it only proves that I should trust him more when it comes to my own well-being. He'd never want to harm me, but I'm more certain about that than ever before. He pulls on the blankets and pats the bed. Night is nearly gone, but I think we should still try and salvage whatever is left of our sleep. I agree and approach the bed, slowly slinking into the linen. I place myself comfortably, but as the wolf tucks me in, my expression turns. You're not going back to the kitchen, are you? Huh? He seems rather troubled, trailing his gaze between the bed and the doors. I thought we decided to take some time apart, yes, but you haven't left yet. I try not to sound too desperate, but my pleading leaves no doubt about my state of mind. If you want to go away, I'd rather spend what little time we have together. He smiles in understanding. You know what? I feel the same way. He mutters as he crawls onto the bed. I blush as he clambers over me, his chest directly over my face. I feel flushed. It's hard not to pull him closer, but he simply rolls playfully over to the other side. We lock our awkward gazes for a moment until he mimics my earlier gesture and spreads out his arms. Hug? I thought you would never ask. I chuckle, snuggling deep into his chest. If this is the last night together for some to come, I'd rather spend it deep inside his fluff. He laughs off my eagerness and embraces me softly as I listen to his thumping tail. Friends or lovers, I have no idea which, nor do I care at this point. I just enjoy being held by someone I feel I can completely trust, and who trusts me in turn. Feeling his warmth once again is all I could have wished for after tonight's fiasco. His gentle breaths help me calm my emotions even further until I return to that sweet, sweet, blissful nothingness. So we just had a heart-to-heart with Ranok, and we had a little conversation with Verissa too. That was a good episode, I think, because you got a little bit backstory for Verissa, which I guess was the natural course because we already got some for Vulgar. And it's nice to see that she isn't just like this stoic character that's just there. She's actually part of the story, and she's actually, I don't want to say suffering because of the human, but she's conflicted because of him. She follows Ranok because he seems to know what he's doing, but at the same time she has her doubts. And that was clear in when she was having the conversation with her goddess, Aluna. But it's nice to see that she doesn't resent the human, but she does feel that he might I don't know how to put it. But I guess her worries were laid to rest when, he showed up at the time he did. But yeah. Oh, and that scene with the pool, I wonder if there's something to do with that. But yeah, and then moving on to Ranok. The human and Ranok finally had their little heart to heart, which is nice because I mean that was a long time coming. Come on. And it is true they shouldn't have rushed into, well, it's true that they shouldn't be rushing into a quote unquote relationship because that's usually never going to end up well. And hopefully, they stay together or maybe they just become friends. You never know. It would be a refreshing change for a story not to just be like, oh, I fell in love with my wolf and the wolf fell in love with me and ta-da, that's it. Not that I'm ragging on those type of stories. I like those type of stories too. I mean, come on, I like Amicus. But anyways, yeah. Thank you all for watching / listening. If you would like to play Far Beyond the World yourself, there will be a link down in the description. If you would like to support the creator, there will be a link down for their Patreon. If you would like to follow the creator, there will also be a link down for their Twitter. And if you would like to support the musician providing some of the music for Far Beyond the World and for Echo, there will also be a link down for their Bandcamp. And I fully suggest you support all these people. Come on, they deserve it. And yeah, and I guess I will see you guys later. Bye-bye.